Hello, everyone. It's Steve with Aptera Owners Club. A couple of days ago, I saw this article on The Conversation, and it says the world's 280 million electric bikes and mopeds are cutting demand for oil far more than electric cars, which I was pretty surprised by, actually, because I thought that electric cars would have made a larger dent in the oil use by now, because, electric cars are picking up. But it turns out that electric bikes and scooters and motorcycles, of which there are 280 million, and that's mostly in the most of this is in the developing world, in China and Africa and Southeast Asia and those places, and in America and Australia and Europe. The electric motorcycles are becoming more popular, but just haven't had quite the uptake. But, however, there's 280 million electric mopeds, scooters, and motorcycles and bicycles out there, and they've cut demand by 1 million barrels of oil a day, which is a lot, but unfortunately, that represents only about 1% of the world's total oil demand. So that means that the world's total oil demand is 100 million barrels of oil a day, which is staggering. But I thought this was a good time to talk about efficiency and Aptera and bicycles, because I think a lot of us are interested in Aptera because we are interested in something that's efficient and is respectful of the resources that we have, and it kind of disassociates us from the need to, sorry about that, need to be attached to the grid and attached to the petrochemical oil infrastructure as well. And I realized after reading this article, I was reminded of the fact that there's something that's way more efficient than even the Aptera, and that is bicycles. And I know that for a lot of people, using a bicycle is difficult, especially if you live in hilly terrain. And so now we have this great option of electric bicycles. And it would be great if everyone replaced as many of their car trips as possible with electric bikes or regular bikes. And the interesting thing in this article, this is obviously an Australian publication, so they're talking about Australian commuter trips. In Perth, um, close to half of all commuter trips are under 10 kilometers, which is like 6 miles. And in America, it's even worse because over half, 60% of all car trips are less than 6 miles. So 6 miles is a distance that is easily covered by a bicycle or electric bicycle. And in America, it's even worse because our cars are bigger. So many times you see people, driving you know, I don't know how much Suburbans weigh, 5,000 pounds, 6,000 pounds. uh, a large SUV, like a large three-row SUV, to go to the grocery store to pick up some groceries. It'll usually be some like 100-pound woman driving by herself in a Suburban to go pick up groceries or to pick up their 50-pound child from the daycare or elementary school. And these are all trips that could be replaced by bikes very easily. Now, two of the most common things I hear from people when I tell them that I bike commute, and I've been bike commuting now for 15 years and have probably done at least 50,000 miles on a bicycle. And at 25 miles per gallon, that has saved me about 2,000 gallons of gasoline. And at the current price of gasoline, which is about $4 a gallon, that is about $8,000 of gasoline costs saved. And not to even consider wear and tear and oil changes and brake jobs and tire changes on cars that I've gone through. So anyway, 50,000 miles have been replaced, at least in my household. And it was funny, I was talking to some friends of mine at the gym I go to, and I, obviously go to the gym on my bicycle. They've known me for 5 years, and they asked me a few weeks ago. They're like, "Do you even own a car?" Because they've never seen me in a car. I mean, I do own a car because obviously not all trips can be done on a bicycle. Anything longer than about 10 miles is pretty hard. It is more work than it's worth on a bicycle for me. And if I want to go to the mountains or the beach, and that's like, Aptera had this cool little promo of this guy driving to the mountains to ride his mountain bike. And this is the kind of stuff that I want to do on the Aptera, is go on trips, go on longer trips. And there's a lot of times that I want to go for a run in the mountains or go for a bike ride near the beach or something like that. And I need something that will go fast and far, and the Aptera is good for that. Um, but the two of the things that I hear the most is bicycles aren't safe, and you do feel very exposed on a bicycle, especially when you're in a road and people, cars are going 50 miles per hour next to you, and you feel it does feel a little unsafe until you get used to it. And this is a article from Mr. Money Mustache, who I agree with a lot of the things he talks about. If you're not a fan of his, worth checking out. He's one of these fire proponents, and he's a big proponent of bicycle riding. And he has some assumptions in this article, not all of which I agree with, but his conclusion is that the net effect of driving a car, you die faster, and then the net effect of riding a bike, you gain life per mile of riding a bike. And mainly he talks about the health benefits of riding a bike, which are many. And one of them, you're much more likely to die of a stroke or a heart attack or complications of diabetes or some chronic disease than by getting hit, being in a traffic accident. You just statistically, these chronic health conditions are what's going to kill most people: cancer, heart disease, stroke, that kind of stuff. And having regular exercise decreases all of those risks. So if you think about that, there's a slightly higher risk of dying if you get hit on a bicycle, but that's more than outweighed by the decreased risk of chronic disease. And then he also talks about how most of the traffic accidents involving bicycles, many of them involve children who do not understand traffic laws. So obviously they're going to make poor decisions on the road. And a lot of the cyclists who rides bicycles around are people that have DUIs and can no longer drive a car, and so they may be riding a bike inebriated or otherwise not fully alert. And so if you take those away, if you're an adult that understands traffic laws and you are very alert and you're a defensive rider, your chances of getting into an accident are far less than what the raw statistics would show. Obviously, if you run into a guy that's driving drunk or texting and driving or just not paying attention, if you get into an accident on a bicycle against a car, you are going to be on the losing side of that when you're on a bicycle. And I fully understand that. And for me, bike commuting has become such a good part of my life that I will continue it. And so when people talk about safety concerns about Aptera, I kind of chuckle, because compared to a bicycle, an Aptera is way, way safer than a bicycle. So it doesn't, those concerns ring a bit hollow to me. And bicycle commuting has, again, the health benefits and kind of the emotional benefits. Like, you just feel good going into work in the morning. It's a nice day. It's good weather, good scenery. And then you get to kind of see your city and your neighborhood. You meet your neighbors. I like see the crossing guards and my neighbors that are working out in their front yards, and you wave to them. These are interactions that you would not get in a car. And then the other thing that people worry about is weather. Now, it's easy for me to say that I live in, Southern California, where the weather is very good most of the time. And so, yeah, bike commuting is definitely easier. But there isn't, a Scandinavian thing that there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. And I don't know how to pronounce this in Norwegian, but this is how you say it in Norwegian. And so, yeah, it's true. I actually started bike commuting when I lived in Pittsburgh. And I lived there for 2 years. And Pittsburgh, if you guys have been there, does not have the best weather. It snows, it rains, it has sleet, it gets icy on the roads. Yeah, I biked year round. I didn't even have a car when I was there. And I biked year round and went to work on a bicycle in Pittsburgh as well. And this is the other thing. This is a Bill Bowerman saying, actually. No, there's no such thing as bad weather, just soft people. Bill Bowerman was a very famous track and field coach in Oregon, and he's the founder of Nike. If you guys aren't aware of that. And so global oil demand is set to slow significantly by 2028, and then it should trend down because of the adoption of EVs. But it is interesting that electric bikes are the greatest driver right now. And if you if you can replace a lot, like if we could replace 60% of our car trips with electric bikes, just the decrease in pollution um, and oil demand would be huge in America. The other thing is, like, when we use public transit, the problem is getting from your house to the public transit station and then getting from the public transit station to your work. That's difficult. And sometimes bikes are a little bit too unwieldy to put on to get on the buses and the trains, although a lot of them do have special places for bikes. And one of you guys, I think it was someone on this channel, told me about these EUCs, these electric unicycles, and I bought one because of that. And they are super fun, and they're very, very portable. They're not much bigger than a briefcase. You can easily take it into restaurants. You can take it into like subways or trains or buses with them, no problem. And what's really fun is if you have an electric vehicle and there's a charging station that's maybe half a mile or a mile away from where you actually want to go, you just throw this in the trunk and you can put your electric vehicle on the charging station and then ride to where you want to go in one of these electric unicycles. So I think this is another great option to reduce car trips. And the other thing that I see every day on my commute is this school car line. I pass three schools, one middle school and two elementary schools, on the way to work every morning. And every morning I see a scene like this. Lines of cars waiting 15 to 20 minutes to drop off their kid at school. And these people, most of them live within a mile or two of the school. If they simply walked to school, they could have gotten there in less time than the time they spend waiting in this line. Now, I understand that most of these people are dropping off their children and then going to work immediately afterward. Um, but, as this article talks about, in the 1960s, 1 in 2 kids, half the kids either walked or biked to school. And it's not like the locations of the schools have changed since the 1960s. The neighborhoods are the same, the schools are the same, the distances are the same. Just people in our culture have changed. So that only 1 in 10 kids walks or bikes to school. Everyone else gets dropped off in these huge lines like this. Now, this is a very good use case for cargo bikes, and you can drop off your kids, and then you can go straight to work or run your errand straight from there. You can go pick up groceries. You can go to a lot of people live within 10 miles of their workplace. Now, if some people don't, and that's fine, and you will probably have to drive a car. But just if half the people were using cargo bikes to drop off their kids at school, there would not be this incredibly long line and this gridlock. And what makes this gridlock bad is people get upset, they get short-tempered, and they make maneuvers that are unsafe and put kids in danger and put other people in danger. Like, I've seen a lot of these parents just like cut me off and almost hit me just because they're in a rush and they're just tired of waiting to drop off their kids. So I think that this is a great opportunity for us who care about efficiency and who care about reducing our demand and who care about costs and reducing the footprint of our transportation to our own pocketbook and to the world at large. It may be a good idea to consider, while we're waiting for the Aptera, to look at electric bicycles or other small commuting vehicles like EUCs, or regular bicycles if you can handle that physically, to reduce the demand on the electrical system and the oil infrastructure. and it'll be good for your pocketbook as well. But yeah, this was just I just went on a little rant. I'm sorry, but this was a really surprising article that actually the amount of oil demand that has fallen because of these electric bicycles is 4 times the lessening of demand from electric vehicles. So they've dropped demand by 1 million barrels, and electric cars have only dropped it by 250,000 barrels. So significantly less. Now that's gonna change as electric EVs ramp up. And then, in 2030, I think that's when the full ramp up is going to start. The transition will happen in earnest and the demand will drop. But I think still then, between having an EV or an electric bike or a regular bike, you're going to be more efficient and better for the planet and better for yourself if you replace all the short trips with an electric bike. And the more people that are on bikes, it will make things safer for the bicyclists, and it will normalize people riding in bad weather, in rain and snow, so that people don't think it's odd. It becomes like a normal thing. All right. Well, tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for humoring me on my rant, and have a great day.